Today we're going to be unboxing the PlayStation 2, but also going to be upgrading it in a very cheap way. So let's go. Hey, welcome back to the channel. It's awesome that you're tuning in. In this video we're going to be doing an unboxing of the PlayStation 2. How is it? And let's do this shared experience together. And just doing a little bit of a nostalgia chit chat because the PlayStation 2 is still one of my favorite consoles to play nowadays. Besides the nostalgia, the PlayStation 2 has absolutely an amazing library of games that is just massive. This is just a stack of the first generation of games that I actually purchased and I enjoyed for many hours. There were actually 3 games that I basically played and they were like my first games. The first one was Tekken Tag. It was absolutely awesome to have Tekken Tag in the collection because I really enjoyed Tekken 2 and 3 a lot. So then next up we didn't have SSX, nope, we went for Ridge Racer 5. I still remember that I was sick that day and my mom came in with this game. No idea how she knew I wanted to have this, but it was absolutely a very cool overall experience because Ridge Racer was one of my games I've played so much. Think about Ridge Racer, Revolution and Rage Racer and Type 4. And then of course we're having the SSX, and you know that I personally don't like sport games, so I had a little bit of double feeling buying this, but actually playing it, SSX was just one of the best snowboard gaming experience I had. And these were the 3 games that had so many fond memories with the PlayStation 2. But so there are many other games like Underground 2. The SSX Tricky felt more like an add-on, but it's absolutely great game. Getting for the Christmas the Twisted Metal Black. Big fan of the Twisted Metal series, particularly 1 and 2. Dead Alive 2 was just one of those games I've played so much with friends because this was such a fun game and completely different fighting experience. Gran Turismo, where I was just like driving those crazy things in the middle of the night. Those tracks, you know, 24, I think it's 24 hours Le Mans. Dragon Ball Tenkaichi, as I'm a big Dragon Ball fan, this was just like the next level of Dragon Ball. And yeah, this is not a glitch in the Matrix. No, I just realized that I had 2 times Gran Turismo 3 in my pal. But let's do this unboxing together and let's see what we're getting inside. However, it's a little bit of a downside that this is not on 100% complete. I understand there was no manuals whatsoever, but it came with all kinds of cables. The power cable, a normal SCART cable, and in here we're having the DualShock number 2. Still need to clean it out. Yeah, I still need to clean it up because it's a little bit filthy, but I love to have extra controllers. In here we're having the Styrofoam with the PlayStation 2. So yeah, what you need to take consideration with the PlayStation 2 itself, there are a lot of different models of the FAT or the first generation, and there is nothing much in here. Nope, there is not a demo disc because normally there is a demo disc in here, but what is even more like an epic fail. So when you're looking at the box itself, you can just actually see at the side what kind of model. I do have this particular model, the 30004R PAL version, but when you're going to be looking into the PlayStation, yeah, they messed it up. They added the 50,000. It's not a big of a problem, so this kit is not 100% original. However, what is kind of cool is that this model is so much better. And I mean, in particular when it comes to the first generation, the loud fans, and of course not to forget the light problems. So this is great, so having this in the collection because this is the new model. But let's connect the PlayStation 2 and just have some fun with some games. And later on I'm also going to be chit-chatting about the upgrades because there are many possibilities. And they say this thing has been checked and seems to be working. We do have some damage on the PlayStation 2, so that's quite unfortunate. However, let's plug it in and let's have some old school fun. So in the meantime, I've been cleaning up the controller because it's quite filthy. Let's turn it on. LED starts blinking, or at least it turns red. And there we go. And let's start off with the first game that we ever played and just experience it, because this is going to be absolutely a blast to the past. And let's see if the disk drive seems to be working. Also quite surprised on what kind of pristine condition the game is when it comes to the disk itself. So yeah, and there's also going to be a lot of cool things that we can do with upgrading that makes the PlayStation 2 even so much significant better in the upcoming years. So the games where we didn't have DLC, where we needed to actually play the game for unlocking new characters. That is one of the cool things of the Tekken series I just really loved. I think the last game I actually was doing it was with the Tekken Tag series. The tag situation was absolutely awesome. I just love this idea. Having the option to have a second controller where you can basically do this co-op situation with friends. It really needed to get used to the game music because it was completely different, but and one of the things I love about Tekken is just actually the way how it plays and how easy it is, and everybody can actually play Tekken. Man, and the game looks so great on the PlayStation 2. SSX was the third game I actually had, and I can tell you that it was such an experience that I've never had with other games like 1080 or other great for like the N64. And of course the graphics was so much better than the previous games, and making this such an overall great experience. The extra trick mode and all the other cool things that you had in this game was so cool. And not to forget the music, because the music in this is just great. I have no idea how to actually play this game now. Oh, there we go. Oh, the guy bashed me. Woo. Wasn't that like a boosting thing going on? Oh yeah, but no idea how it all works. It has been so long that I've been actually playing this game. So where it's absolutely a blast to the past with the PlayStation 2. However, let's do a chit chat about all the upgrade possibilities, because the fat model is, when it comes to upgrading and modding, or yeah, we cannot really call it, can we call this modding? We're not going to do any soldering, because this is super easy and very cheap to do. So if you're going to be unlocking your PlayStation in an easy way, and plug and play way, that is so easy to do now. You can make the memory card yourself, or just grab one from AliExpress, for example, or different locations. So we're having these, let's say, the very cool memory cards that you can just plug into your PlayStation, and it will automatically boot up into the software. And from that part, we can actually do all kinds of cool stuff. To give you an example, so let's plug it in, and let's give it a reset. And when the system is going to be booting it up, partially it will maybe in same experience, but you can see like free MC boot. And in here, we're having the option to add ourselves all kinds of cool things, including having options like the OPL. That is a piece of software that we can load from different storage devices. Okie dokie, so the file has been transferred to the drive itself. We're going to grab ourselves the Sata one. That is basically how we're going to do it in the tutorial. We're going to click it in, be very gentle. Fits very well. I like the way how it fits on the hard drive. You're just going to slide it in like this and click it in. Alright, and when it's in, we're going to tighten up the two screws over here. Next up, let's tighten up the two screws. Be very gentle with this. Alright, let's grab the other one. Okay, so everything is placed, and let's boot it up. Oh, and quick point out that we're having now like great options if you want to play on HDMI. We have the PlayStation 2 to HDMI, and we have the PlayStation 1 and 2 to HDMI. The major difference is that basically this one loses the component signal, and this one uses the old composite. Just wanted to, I did a full review about this HDMI solution for PlayStation 2, so if you're interested, check out that video. But overall, cheap options with HDMI, and it's pretty cool to have. I'm going to use OPL. I'm a big fan of it. Controller's not in. Let's go to OPL. Open PS2 loader. That is what we're going to get. You can see like the logo over there blinking. I can hear the hard drive spinning up. And here in the top corner, you need to be on the hard drive. Our game has been checked up, and you can see we are ready to play. Pressing triangle, you go to the game settings. Check the page of the OPL community. If there's any problems, sometimes you need to do a quick little bit of modification, like putting the mode on and off. Some minor adjustments for basically skipping some parts or booting up. So when like a game freezes or having issue with the intro, you can basically skip it. But there are things you need to configure, not with every game, because this game boots up without a hassle. Okay, so let's boot up the game. Press pause again. And we're ready to go. Sometimes it will do this. And your game has been set up. And now you can play your disc games, made an ISO from it, and play them from a hard drive. Super easy. And I love it. One of the reasons I like it, so basically I can just save my games, don't scratch them up, or better said, preserving them. And another very big positive thing, with the internal hard drive, faster loading times. Look at this. It's just superb over a disk and USB. Another option you have is the GameStar Sata adapter that you can get and you can combine with an SSD. I did read here and there that there were some problems with this. So another option you also can do is making a conversion kit or buying a conversion kit and basically converting your original one. But you're also going to need to make yourself a free MacBook memory card. You can get these things for very cheap nowadays. So that's something you need to consider if you're going to buy one and plug it in. But you need to have this set. You need to have the hard drive, adapter and the free MacBook. And a combination of these three, we can do some magic with the PlayStation 2. But first, let's add some files to it. We're going to need a docking station and a computer, of course. And let's add some games to this SSD. The SSD is ready. It has been formatted in the right format, otherwise the PlayStation 2 can't use it. I made some ISO files, added it to the SSD, and let's have some fun. Let's see if it boots up and let's see how fast it is. If your free MacBook drive works like a charm, this is the menu that you're going to get. It looks very similar like the original one, but only we're going to get different options. Okay, I want to point out this one has been set up so every program, I think we're not saying all of them, but most of them, like the HD loader, they are over here, including some emulators if you want to mess around with that. But we're going to use Open PlayStation 2 Loader or OPL. The SSD has been recognized. All the games that I added to the hard drive have been recognized too, and we're ready to boot up. So let's try some games. Let's see how they are loading up, because oh yeah, the SSD needs to be very fast. Alright, so for the first game, we're just going to see with a two-dimensional fighter how fast the loading times are. Normally with a disc, they're not even that long, but I'm thinking it will be almost instantly. If they are like faster than SSDs compared with a hard drive, we can do like a side-by-side comparison in the future. So consider subscribing and hit that little bell. Next up, another fighting game. I've seen this game a couple of times regarding the gameplay, but also when it comes to the loading screens. And here you can see like it is almost instant. A more and easier way to actually play the games is through an SD card that goes into a memory card. They're buying all kinds of kits for the MX4SIO, and yep, we have different versions, so take note that you're buying the right one, the right memory card, and yep, you combine this with everything you're going to be needing. And in here we're having the MX4SIO, different kind of colors. You have the normal SD but also the micro SD version, and that's it. You're just buying a kit, add your games to the SD card, and you're actually ready to go. But how does this new function work? It's super easy peasy lemon squeezy. Because what you're going to get is plug in this freaking free MacBook, and that's the only thing. It will unlock your system. You don't need any modifications. Then we're going to get ourselves the MX4SIO. So you plug in this memory card. So we put in the SD card upside down. And that's it. You're ready to go and you're ready to play some games. So let's boot up the system. Alright, so when powering on the system itself, then you can see over here we're going to get two LEDs in the MX4SIO unit. Here at the right we're going to see like if it's powered on, so if you want to know it's working, and here at the left you can see that sometimes it's going to start blinking when it's reading data from the SD card. And when the system has been turned on and the free MacBook software is working, or the soft mod itself, you will be greeted by a similar menu like the original one, only we do have like some, let's say, minor differences. But let's take a close look at the free MacBook menu. This is version 1.966, what you can see over there at the right top corner. Then we're going to get yourself like the browser functionality, system configuration, and the U Launch Elf. That's basically if you want to mess around with the memory card internal files. Then we do have like the OPL, and we go to have the OPL version 1.2.0. But let's take a close look at some games, the loading speeds, and how it all work out. Because I think this SD functionality is one of the best ways to play nowadays. And it has so much potential. Alright, so let's boot up the game and just see what we're going to get with this. Here you can see there were no weird things going on when it comes to, let's say, the background. I did notice like with some, let's say, USB versions, we do have some games that have issues. But again, like it's more like a compatibility issue. And let's just play a quick game, see how it runs and how fast the loading times are. Alright, so let's take a close look at the gameplay. Let's boot it up. And let's take a close look at the loading. And I've noticed, like, depending what kind of game you're playing, like if you're going to play a fighting game, sometimes I'm doing like have like instant loading times. But yeah, let's be honest, like when you're having this drive, some games are very quickly when it loads up. Think about like Tekken 4 that also had like instant loading even with the disc. Over here we're going to get ourselves the network adapter, and this is a Sata. And the reason I'm saying Sata, because the original one didn't have a Sata connection. So that is one of the changes they made. The only downside to these things is like there is no network functionality, because you also have basically the, let's say, the way to play through the network. But that's maybe something to talk about in a different video. But this thing is ready to go, and it comes complete with the kit. So it's pretty damn awesome. So you can just plug in your hard drive and plug it into your PlayStation in combination with the Mac-free boot. But there is something you need to know, because yeah, if you're going to put it in here in your PlayStation FAT, it's going to be like wiggling around. Recently I picked something up that is quite interesting that I also wanted to show you. It's not including this kit, you need to buy it separately, and it is not cheap. But let's say you have an old school hard drive laying around from an old laptop, you can always like buy this one separately, and then you can get yourself the hard drive adapter. So at first I thought this thing was made of metal, but nope, this thing is fully made of plastic. But it's just a very convenient thing, because you can basically screw in this freaking hard drive like this. Just click it in. And I don't know if it's going to be included some freaking screws. It has been tightened in very well, so if you don't have it's not going to be an issue, but I recommend doing these 4 screws that you're going to need for putting it in the casing itself. Alright, so let's fit in this plastic fantastic thing. The thing that I'm always doing is like putting it on the network adapter and then going to slide it in. And the reason why is quite simple, is because if you're going to do it the other way around, it's going to be always like quite challenging to connect it with a hard drive. Alright. The only thing I've noticed with the fake, let's say, network adapters from AliExpress, it can be challenging to assemble the bolts over here. Be very gentle with it, because you don't need to like tighten up too much, but it doesn't close always very well. So what I personally love about OPL, that we do have the option to add a disk image, a cover image and a background, which you can see over here. So when you scroll through the game and you have activated every single, yeah, it will like load up the background and the picture. So it's pretty damn awesome. You have different layouts with some extra different options, but personally I really love this clean look. But when you're looking at the game settings by pressing triangle in your, let's say, game list, here we can set up every single game mode for a certain game. So some games don't have 100% compatibility, and with the mode you can basically like switch it on and off, so you have the option to play the certain game. But in the end, like, there is a big list out there. The compatibility is so far, you know, the best with an internal hard drive. So you will need to do some tinkering for yourself when you're adding the games. But it's something you need to live with. But in the end, you only need to do it once. But when you're going to play from a hard disk, you're going to get way better, let's say, faster loading times. And you will see it with some games, some you will don't really matter, because the loading times are already very quickly when it comes to the disk itself. And of course, yeah, it's something that you need to take consideration, that if you're having a game with a very long loading time, like the Underground number 2 over here, sometimes you don't notice any, let's say, faster loading times, and it doesn't really utilize the faster speed of the hard drives of Sata due of the connection of the PlayStation 2, because the PlayStation 2 was basically intended to use with IDA drives, and those have like way lower speeds. The PlayStation 2 is absolutely an amazing system, and there are so many cool ways to play now with different hard drives. You can just store your collection of games on there, an SSD or just an external drive. However, the PlayStation 2 is a very cool device, and we can do so many cool things with it. Thank you all for watching, consider subscribing, hit that little bell, and it would be great to see you in the next video.